Hey, Kevin Guthrie here from Radio Newark, delivering another one of our Corona and mental health podcasts. So remember, this week we are doing a subject every day, and as a collective, these become your pillars of good mental health during stressful times. In fact, good mental health during any time, because these are principles that we might be doing all the time away from pandemics, which we are in at the moment. So today I wanted to talk about something that I call oxygen. Other people refer to it as self-care, and yes, I know I have talked about this before because this is such a major pillar of mental health. It's crazy, and in fact, I feel like I only talked about it last week or the week before. Oxygen is, for me, you know when you're on an aeroplane and they say to you, if the oxygen mask falls, please take your own oxygen before you pass the oxygen mask to somebody else. Why do they say that? Well, they say that because if you don't take your own oxygen, then the chances are that you'll pass out. So you won't be there to feed other people their oxygen. And it's the same in life. It's exactly the same. If we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't on occasion put ourselves first, have ourselves a nice bath, take ourselves for a walk, then we can't be there for other people. So that's what I'm referring to when I ask what is my oxygen. So here's a little exercise for you. I want you to identify what it is for you that becomes your oxygen. And remember that when we do this, one of my biggest words is balance. I always talk about balance. So the other day we talked about food and drink. So somebody might say, well, my oxygen's having a bottle of wine every night. No, that it can't work. It cannot work, because that then becomes really unhealthy. So when we look at things that are our oxygen, so it might be, for me, it might be that on a Friday or a Saturday, I have a gin and tonic. Okay, I have a couple of gin and tonics because I can on a Friday or Saturday, but certainly not every night of the week, because it becomes unhealthy. And not only does it become unhealthy for me physically, but it becomes unhealthy for me mentally, because my mind isn't as clear as what it normally is. So having a gin and tonic's fine, having a glass of wine is fine, but not every night. We should be looking at alcohol-free nights. What else can be your oxygen? What for you becomes your moments of taking your own oxygen? And at the moment we're limited. We're limited to what we might have done. So one of mine might have been going to the gym. So I've had to switch that, and I've had to look at it and go, okay, so what can I do instead of going to the gym? Now I go for a bike ride, or I do some yoga on the Wii Fit, or I do some exercise on the Wii Fit. I do something else instead. But I don't stop, because that was a major part of, and still is a major part of, my oxygen program. So what else for you? Something else for me might have been getting outside and walking with the dogs every day. Luckily, I can still do that. In fact, it's almost become mandatory that we do that. So what is it for you? Have a think and have a think about what it is that gives you your breath, gives you your oxygen, because only then can you be good enough for everybody else. And that could be good enough for people that you care for, people that you look after, children that you look after, jobs that you have to do. I've no idea whether I have anybody from the medical kind of sector, so the NHS, listening to this, but your self-care right at the moment is really important. When I do this exercise with my clients, it's broken down into areas, and it goes daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And for me, the daily one is as important as the yearly one. Yearly, we're usually looking at things like holidays, but for me, the daily one is paramount, because when we think about the daily one, and I can hear people saying, I'm really busy and I haven't got time to take my own oxygen. When we think about the daily one, I'm thinking about taking a bath. Taking a bubbly bath where you spend 20 minutes soaking in bubbles with a candle going, or listening to some music that you want to listen to. It only has to be, on a daily basis, it only has to be 20 or 30 minutes. And even then, I can hear people saying, I haven't got 20 or 30 minutes. Then it's paramount that you find it, particularly if you're struggling in terms of stress and anxiety. When we give ourselves this oxygen, it gives the brain several messages. It allows the brain to know that we're okay because we've stopped for such a sufficient time that the mind starts to settle. It gives a really positive message to ourselves in terms of self-esteem, because all of a sudden we give ourselves that message that we are worth it. So think about those two things. If the mind is getting a signal that it's okay and everything's fine, then the stress and the anxiety that we are feeling will then subside. So that's why oxygen is really, really important to us. And so daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, one of my weekly ones might have been going to a coffee shop and having a nice bit of cake and a nice cup of coffee. Can't do that at the moment because we can't. But I can still get out and I can still walk the dogs. I'm still doing my exercise on a yearly basis. It might be, one of mine would be definitely going on holiday somewhere. That hasn't happened for a while, but hopefully then later on in the year I can take a holiday. So work out what it is for you. And that's, you know, sometimes when I do this exercise with my clients, they really struggle. They really struggle to be able to tell me what their oxygen is. And I find that a little bit kind of, not disturbing, but it kind of upsets me a little bit, because I go, wow, you care about yourself so little that you don't even know what your thing is, what your oxygen is. I mean, like I said at the beginning, this is all about self-care. So I'm going to leave it there. Oxygen, find what your oxygen is and do it, and make sure that you continue to do it. Okay, we have one more day tomorrow, Friday, and we're going to look at connection. Okay, I'm going to go because I have work to do, and I will be back with you tomorrow. Look after yourself, be safe, and be kind to everybody around you. All right, take care. Bye bye.